Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, and Adventures. This is continuing on with the adventure. Sheila swallowed a bug.
Sorry, guys.
The bugs are out. We're somewhere in the vicinity of where Mark had pulled over on Beach Creek Mountain to when him and Susan was arguing. He pulled over and parked with her, and that's when they got in the heated argument, and she supposedly slapped him and he choked her to death. So this would be somewhere in that area, just like Harmon's Branch or Cotton Top. All these areas that's been years ago, and unless you know, Mark would be the one that could tell you exactly where he was at. But we're somewhere in that area of where Susan Smith was killed, and then he put her in the trunk of the car. He got out. She had his shorts on. He took his shorts off. She was naked. He put her in the trunk of his car and went back to the Landmark Inn, to the hotel. And that's where we stayed last night, and we'll be staying there again tonight. And but we'll catch you next time.
All right, thanks. Bye.
We're coming up on Harmon's Branch here at this Toyota dealer. To the right used to be Marlowe Tackett's. You know how to show it.
Okay.
That was Marlowe Tackett's nightclub over there. This is Walter's Toyota. This is Harmon's Branch. This is the road that Mark Putnam, after he killed Susan Smith the next day, this is where the road that he brought her to dispose of her body. Now that's been 35 years ago, and you got to understand, this used to be a mining road then, an old graveled mining road, more or less. And he brought her up through here. Said it was late in the evening after he got back from court. He'd been in Pikeville that day in federal court. He had parked her out in front of the federal courthouse in June. That would have been June the 9th. He killed her on June the 8th. Hello, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We're not at the museum. We're on the adventure part, and we are in Harmon's Branch in Pike County, Kentucky. And Harmon's Branch, of course, is where FBI agent Mark Putnam, after he killed his informant, Susan Smith, we've got a video of basically where he killed her at on Beach Creek Mountain. And we've done a video on the Landmark Inn. We've done a video on his church, on his house, on where Ron Poole, FBI agent Ron Poole, picked her up at the post office in Freeburn, Kentucky. This would have been Susan's, in this vicinity, this would have been Susan's last stop. This is where he pulled over at. got her naked body out of the trunk of his car, and he says he carried it to the bottom of the ravine and gave her a kiss on the cheek. He had killed her the night before. He had parked her in front of the federal courthouse in Lexington, Kentucky the next day while he was in court. And I think the temperature on that day was in the 70s maybe. And so it's pretty hard to believe that he brought her here after traveling around to Lexington and back and been parked in the car all day, and the deterioration and all that of the body, that he gave her a kiss. And it's also hard to believe that he took her over this ravine, which is almost straight down, and gave her a kiss. He carried her down there. I would say, just as a practical person, that he got her out here and let her go, and she's rode to the bottom of the ravine. And that's where they found her bones at year later, after Detective Hatfield and myself had turned the Pike County Sheriff in and the Sheriff's Department, along with some other high-ups in the criminal justice system in Pike County. And we had done that August the 7th of '89. And of course, we'd been working with Ron Poole and Mark Putnam, FBI agents in Pikeville. And who would have ever thought that one of the agents that you were working with would kill his informant? He impregnated her. She was going to tell on him, and he killed her. And once again, Sheila will put some videos together of different areas we've been, different places, and we'll be doing a lot of segments on this and on the Pike County Sheriff's Department, and things that Detective Hatfield and myself, I was a detective also at the time, but we worked with Mark Putnam, Ron Poole, and after we turned the sheriff in and went public with it, then Mark was free. That investigation was over. They never interviewed Mark. They never tried to find out what happened to Susan. Her sister filed a missing persons on her, supposedly. It wasn't filed till after Paul and I had held our news conference exposing corruption. And then the next day, the detective called Susan's sister, Shelby Smith, and asked her if she'd heard from Susan and stuff. They were going to open the investigation then to try to take Mark out of the equation. If Mark's the investigating agent or one of them, and he's committed a crime, then that would impeach anything that he's going to say against anybody else. And that's basically what happened. Nobody had interviewed Mark. Nobody had pursued Mark, questioned Mark, nothing. They simply, he had been transferred to Miami, Florida, and that's where he was stationed. In fact, he come back for court when the last time that he saw Susan, when he killed her. He'd come back to Pike County for court. He was already transferred out of the area. And had Detective Hatfield and myself not have exposed the corruption in the Pike County Sheriff's Department, she would have been listed as a runaway, or they said that the mob had killed her, people in Chicago. They had all kinds of excuses. Who would ever accuse an FBI agent of doing something as horrific as this? Until the evidence come in, and the grand jury was requested on the sheriff and others, and then all of a sudden we've got to find this girl. We got to find her. Something's happened. We need to question this FBI agent. And that's where the investigation went. Mark Putnam agreed to plead guilty. He gave himself up. Some people says, oh, we solved the case. No, nobody solved the case except maybe Detective Hatfield and myself when we went public on the Sheriff's Department. And they had to impeach. In fact, we took a bunch of more files that we had after he'd been transferred to Miami. After we held our press conference, we went to Miami, Florida with the rest of our files and tapes and gave them to Mark Putnam in Miami. How stupid is that? Who would have thought it? And in the end, he told him where the body was. It's in this vicinity on Harmon's Branch. he told them where the body was. They were standing by. State police and other law enforcement personnel came up here, and they found the skull and some teeth, her necklace she had on, and some of her painted fingernails that her sister's a beautician, and she had painted her nails or gave her that nail polish, and she recognized it. So we're going to leave here, and we'll pick up on another location.
Was there a necklace too?
A necklace with a cross on it. Yeah, her necklace was still there.
Yeah.
And we'll fill you in as we go along. Anything else, Sheila?
Nope.
It's Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum and Adventures. Again, this is the adventure part. We're in Pikeville, Kentucky, Pike County. We're not exactly in Pikeville city limits yet, but we are in Pike County.
Right.
And catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye.